What's the worst smell you've ever experienced? Homeless dude who was covered in poop had a necrotic wound full of maggots on one leg and oozing cellulitis on the other. Cleaning out flooded basements after Hurricane Sandy. There was a fridge that had gotten knocked on its backside, door closed, full of rotten food, flood water, sewage, and sitting there without power or fresh air for weeks until we opened it to empty it out. My God. My husband is a funeral driver. We live in BC, and we recently had this record-breaking heat wave, upwards of 40 degrees when we're used to under 30 during the height of summer. Lots of people died. They didn't have enough drivers to keep up with the calls, so some deceased clients had to wait to be picked up for like 1 to 2 days, essentially being microwaved in their rooms with no air conditioning. You can probably figure out the rest. My first kid, when we were still learning literally everything and not realizing how much breast milk got under his chubby neck rolls until we pulled them back to clean and unleash that. I worked in a burn unit for a while. The smell of burnt human flesh was diabolical. The room has to be kept at 85 degrees with 95% humidity. The burned skin can't thermoregulate, so a big risk of burns is hypothermia. The smell is so pervasive, you'll smell it on your clothes for days. I boiled ribs and then put them on the grill one day. I unexpectedly had to go in the hospital. I was in there for 3 weeks. When I got home, that pot of pig fat and just nasty liquid from the ribs of 3 weeks earlier was still sitting beside the sink. Nor my mom or brother threw it out, so I dumped it out. Mind you, this isn't long before I had a double lung transplant, so I was very sick. I had to walk it outside and dump it. Almost threw up everywhere. The rotting meat we had to put in the bin outside that was in our freezer when Katrina knocked out our power for days. No, wait, after having read someone else's post, it was the ungodly stench inside the back of a van that held the furniture and belongings of a man who died alone at home and eventually liquefied. I was on a crew that was told to empty it out. We couldn't go more than halfway into the van. It was that repulsive. We walked out on the job. You want that shit out of there? Get it yourself. That was a job for a hazmat team, not day laborers. Bloated dead animal, riding ITV through field and ran over a bloated groundhog. It sounded like a shotgun blast went off, followed by a yellow-green haze, and then the smell hit me. I rode as fast as I could home, threw away all my clothes and showered in the yard with hose and Dawn. I still taste that smell. In the summer of 2008, late at night one time I had to let one rip and thought it would be funny to do it in my brother's room, then close the door. Big mistake. Whatever came out of my body that night was a concentrated gas of death. My brother woke up almost immediately and began violently throwing up once I told him I farted. My other brother's room was right across the hall, and when I opened the door it was enough to make him start gagging in his sleep. One fart woke up 3 people and caused 2 of them to throw up. It lingered for well over an hour as well. The smell was beyond anything I had ever smelled at that point in my life, and to this day I've never been able to replicate it. Rotting potatoes for the win. Insanely worse than body decomp. It's like I'm gagging thinking about it. I once borrowed a spot cleaner vacuum that hadn't been used in a while, and it turned out the trash compartment was filled with decomposing human hair and various debris that had been rotting away for who knows how long. It was vile. My whole house stank. Roommates complained, and there was nothing we could do to get rid of the smell. Science class, the teacher brought some fake sewage for us to test and try to clean out. Even through the mask I was so close to puking. Rotting rat corpses in an attic. I can still smell it right now 15 years later. People's body odor from a long lack of bathing. Not any group, you might assume. It doesn't matter your circumstances. I figure anyone can get that bad, and that the only thing worse is someone like that on fire. Was called to a house where a guy mostly was 400+ pounds, never moved from the couch, and just mostly poop and pissed where he was. The rot was so bad, the couch was melted into his skin. He died from mass infections, and no one found him till someone reported seeing a fluid dripping to the lower apartment. Skunk. One time on a hunting trip and another time a snowplow hit a skunk and the skunk exploded of smell. Rotting bodies of migrants in the Southern California desert. We radio reported it to the ranger station. We thought it was an animal carcass at first, but close enough to smell we could see their shoes and some of their clothes intact. Park rangers and border patrol took care of it about an hour after we radioed it in. So my sister and I moved into this house in a really rundown area. Next door was an abandoned property with a big freezer on the porch. My brilliant sister was like, "What if there's a body in there?" So she opened it up. The smell of rotting meat, vegetables, and who knows what else encompassed the effing street and lingered for days. It was absolutely vile. Fly killer bags for horse stalls, especially when they get full of flies. They smell worse than dead things. My dog's anal gland fluid.